Let's go. Thanks everyone for being here. You know, you get protests all through the states, and I was actually pissed off about everyone who was posting about Syria, because I literally saw a friend of mine posting about Syria while they were at Coachella. That's the kind of activists you get. You don't get activists who are willing to come out, talk about the real issues. Even more, you don't get activists who are willing to come out and talk about the issues that happen on their streets. Because we got people in LA who just put blinders up to the women who are getting raped on our streets every day. So, thank you for all you guys being here. Because we did have a couple of people from the city show up, we're going to have them speak first. First up from West LA, from Council District 11, is Councilmember Mike Bonin. Before he speaks, you know, I want to give him credit for the fact a long time ago, actually 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 3 years ago, before anyone considered this a crisis, I approached him on Facebook and said, hey, we're trying to get an emergency declaration. Would you be willing to help? Out of all the people I approached, council members, this is the only person who replied back and actually pushed for it. So, Councilmember Mike Bonin.
Good evening, everybody. Is this on? Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for being here tonight. Thank you for putting a human face on this unprecedented, horrible, dystopian moral crisis in Los Angeles. Thank you for showing people Dolores and Evelyn and Janice and Denise and so many of the women who have no place but cold, hard asphalt to lie their heads tonight. I can't tell you how inspiring and gratifying it is to see what She Does is doing. When I was first tagged, the first of probably 10,000 She Does hashtags that have marked me on Facebook over the past 2 months, I was very curious and very excited to see that there was the beginning of a grassroots movement on behalf of solutions to homelessness and on behalf of immediate people housed shelter tonight solutions to homelessness. Every time, whether it's in Los Angeles, whether it's in San Francisco, or whether it's in Orange County, someone proposes a solution to address homelessness, we discover that the only thing that people find more objectionable and controversial than homelessness are solutions to homelessness. And there is always a number of voices that say, no, we don't support this solution, or no, we don't support this solution here. And the only thing that we need to combat that, or the most important thing we need to combat that, we now have the strategy, we now have the funds, we need the grassroots support. And anytime there is a group of people willing to stand up and say, yes, we need this solution in our backyards, everywhere in Los Angeles, we need to honor that and celebrate that. So thank you for being part of She Does. Something is happening in Los Angeles. A year and a half ago, voters approved a source of money for permanent supportive housing. A few months later, voters approved money countywide for services. And now, no matter what neighborhood I'm in Los Angeles, people are saying, why are there still people sleeping on the sidewalk tonight?
Why are there more people?
They want immediate solutions. And for a very long time, the only solution that was politically acceptable to talk about was permanent supportive housing. And we absolutely need it. And I support it, and we're going to build it in my district and in every district in the city. But we cannot wait We cannot tell people we will have a place for you to sleep in 3 to 5 years. In the meantime, make yourself comfortable on the sidewalk. That doesn't work. I don't care if we call it shelter. I don't care if we call it bridge housing. I don't care if we call it crisis housing. I don't care if we call it purple dinosaurs. We need something for women and children and teenage runaways and veterans and people suffering from mental illness to sleep tonight. Thank you for being part of this. I think you're going to be very encouraged by what the mayor is going to say Monday. I think things are changing in Los Angeles, and I think it's because of you. Thank you.
We want you.
She does! Hey guys, so before I bring up Matt Szabo, who's actually the Deputy Chief of Staff for the Office of Mega City, I want you guys to understand something. Today's April 14th. We started this, and I'm going to call it a struggle because it is a struggle. We started this on the 24th of February. That's when the idea came up that we're going to do something for the homeless women of LA. The first week literally was, you know, I see in the crowd Angie, Lisa Marinava, Nazareth, Lorenzo, 4 or 5 people posting sheeters. Literally, they'd go back on each post and post like 5 times. Then we got Claudia and LA on Cloud 9 came in like a force, and then we bumped up. So let's give a hand to Claudia and LA on Cloud 9. Then we had the protest in March at the mayor's prayer breakfast. That put us on the map because that was the actual official news article on the LA Times that we got. And then, out of the blue, we got Carlos Marroquin. Carlos, he came in like Chapulín Coronado. And, you know, we are 7 weeks into what we started. We're not going to get everything we want, but 7 weeks, this is what we have. And I want you to think of what we are going to end up with. So, I met Matt Szabo from the mayor's office a month ago. He pretty much writes the budget, and he's gonna, you know, like any other employee for the city, they want to go home knowing they did the best they could. And Matt Szabo's no different. So Matt Szabo, Deputy Chief of Staff for the City of LA.
All right, thank you very much. All right, can you hear me okay?
Closer.
You gotta use Mel's outdoor voice.
You gotta be really loud.
Okay. All right, can you hear me okay? There you go. Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Thank you. So before I begin, and thank you very much, Mel, I want to introduce 2 people who are going to be very, very important to this effort. I want to introduce first Christina Miller. She is the mayor's senior policy coordinator for homelessness. She's going to be in charge of implementing the plan that the mayor is going to announce on Monday. Right. Is that okay? Can you hear me? There we go. All right, there we go. All right.
Say she does.
There we go. No. We'll get there maybe. Okay, and we also have Brian Buckner, who is in charge of coordinating all of the departments, LAPD on down from LASA to respond to the homelessness crisis on the street. So these are going to be some people that you're going to see, you're going to have contact with as we move forward. So before I begin, I just want to ask you to just think and reflect on why it is that you're here and what it is that you intend to actually accomplish. And the reason I ask you to think about that is, if the goal is to convince the decision makers that work in this building behind me that there's a crisis that they need to respond to and they need to respond to now, I'm going to suggest to you that that's not the right focus. There is more energy, there is more commitment, there's more focus among the elected officials and the other decision makers in this building behind me than there has ever been to deal with this crisis and to deal with it now. And there's no better example of that than Councilman Mike Bonin. And he's leading the way, the council president's leading the way. You're gonna see from the mayor on down, elected officials in this city that are willing to do what they need to do to respond to the humanitarian crisis that we have on our streets right now. And thanks to the voters, you're going to see some big things happen this year. We are going to spend $238 million this year to build 1,250 units of permanent supportive housing for the homeless. We're going to spend another $14 million to expand shelters. We're going to do 10 shelters. We're going to expand 10 shelters. 6 of them are going to be domestic violence shelters for women. Another one will be exclusively for women. So those are going to come online as soon as possible. But the truth is, these are projects, these are permanent projects that we can't, that are going to take a couple of years or several months or even years to build. And we can't wait for that. The crisis is immediate. The women, the children, the families, the single men that are on the street tonight can't wait a few years for these projects to get up and running. And so that's why on Monday, the mayor is going to outline a plan for emergency shelter that will actually meet or exceed the demands that you're making tonight. So what I want to ask you to do then is, I can't give you any more details about the plan. You'll have to hear it on Monday. However, the reason I ask you to think about why you're here and what you can accomplish is that, as Councilmember Bonin said, there's a great hunger out there for a solution to homelessness. But when it comes to a particular project, a particular shelter, a particular housing facility, then there's always opposition. So what you can do, the most important thing that you can do to make this happen is not just to sleep out tonight, but actually to show up in this building and out there in the community. Show up on the 27th when we present the budget to the city council. Show up at the neighborhood councils wherever you live to urge the neighborhood councils to support facilities and shelter in their district. Show up, importantly, most importantly, to support council members like Councilmember Bonin that are willing to go out and face their neighborhoods and face the community and say, we must have this in our neighborhood to shelter the women and the children and the single men that need shelter tonight. That's what you can do. If you can do that, we can do this together. There's never been more optimism in this city to solve this crisis. Thank you for showing up tonight, and thank you for showing up when we actually need to get these projects done. Thank you very much.
Guys, we're gonna call up the next person, so give us a couple of minutes. She's gonna come up here.
It's not fun living in a tent. It's not easy living in a tent. It's dangerous out here in the tents. Me, especially as a woman by myself.
From the things that we think that we know. Oh, from the things that we think that